All right, guys. So we're gonna be talking about the overall pump in regards to Bitcoin, what's been happening in terms of the reasoning why this particular pump came in at this particular time. We're gonna talk about the Zen ecosystem, what I think is gonna be happening overall. So what I'm currently seeing in terms of base. And yeah, kind of go from there. So let's go ahead and get into the charts. So recently, Bitcoin did actually have a very nice overall pump, bringing you just around 11 to 12%, and just currently getting rejected at the 55 EMA, roughly around the 28,100 area. As you can see, the 55 EMA playing a heavy resistance on the 2-day, and I believe on the daily as well too, as you can see right there. With that being said, why I think this particular pump came in, and why I don't think it's because of Grayscale. Well, it's because of the DXY having a key critical area of rejection. Now, currently, we are just finding a bit of a support on the DXY, the US dollar index, roughly around the 103. And this is why I think Bitcoin actually had this big run up. As you can see here, while the XY is actually starting to go down, Bitcoin started to go up. Just remember, guys, when risk-on assets are going up, DXY doesn't do so well. When DXY goes up, risk-on assets don't do so well. So with that being said, there has been a lot of talks, again, on Twitter, on a lot of social media, even mainstream media, saying that, you know, it's due to the reason that Grayscale actually came out and that they converted their Bitcoin to spot Bitcoin ETF, which is a very bullish news overall. Don't get me wrong. However, it's not the actual launch of the ETF that everybody's expecting. So let's go ahead and just get a quick listen of what actually happened here.
Now, after the U.S. court sort of gave you some runway to be able to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF, what do you do now?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. Let's be clear about yesterday. So yesterday was the culmination of more than a year worth of litigation. The SEC denied GBTC's conversion to an ETF. We immediately filed a lawsuit. 14 months later now, we finally got a decision from the DC Circuit, and a panel of 3 judges unanimously voted and agreed with Grayscale, and that actually vacates the SEC denial order. Huge win for Grayscale, huge win for our investors, and really the crypto and investment community as a whole.
But there's
All right, guys, so you heard it from there. There is still a battle. If you watch the full video here on Bitcoin Magazine, you can actually go and follow them there. But if you actually go ahead and listen to the whole thing, you can hear them say this is just one drawn battle that they actually won against the SEC, and that the SEC can come back and reappeal in particular to this particular case. In particular case. I don't know if that actually makes sense, but yeah. With that being said, guys, let's just take a look at how good this particular pump is for Bitcoin overall, or whether it could be turning into something very valid and actually breaking some key resistance area. With that being said, if we look on the daily, guys, we are sitting above $26,000, which we are currently trading roughly around 27,150, which is a key area for us to actually continue on and upwards on the daily. If we look on the 2-day, we can see that we're roughly above the key pivotal point of $26,505 for us to actually continue on upwards on the 2-day. And then when you get into the 3-day and 5-day, those are when the big macro timeframes actually come into play, where you can see here we're way below the 28,265, the area where we need to be in order for us to get a big macro shift in terms of this. Even on the weekly, you can see it's roughly around 28,900. But with that being said, on the daily, let's talk about it, guys. So we can see this particular structure right here, guys. We can see this particular structure. We've been ranging in this particular area of roughly around 24,000 to 32,000, coming all the way back since March of 2023, guys. So this is a very long consolidation pattern we've been basically building. Now, if you look at where this particular mid region is, you can see that this particular mid region comes in roughly around the $28,000 area. Now, if Bitcoin can reclaim the $28,000 area, the mid region of this particular structure, I think this is a very good overall, because that will give you another test to the upside of the 30 key psychological level that we've been basically speaking of. Now, by this rejection, it is actually showing a bit of a weakness in terms of what's happening here. And that's why I think the DXY is playing a more key pivotal role overall. And when will I really start to get bullish in terms of, Bitcoin? Well, I would start getting bullish for Bitcoin is when, if we take our retracement on the DXY and we take it from the swing low to the swing high of this particular move, guys, we can see if the DXY actually breaks below the 382 percentile. This is when I will start to say, okay, this particular move is very valid in terms of Bitcoin. And then, we can look on and upwards for even higher price points from here, above $30,000. But if, again, from what I'm seeing here, is that DXY is just coming back, retracing a bit, finding a bit of a support plateau for a continuation on and upwards from here. It really hasn't broken any key structure so far in terms of this until it really gets below that structure again of the fib retracements below the 382. Then I would say, okay, maybe we do have something valid for Bitcoin to continue on and upwards from here. So again, that's basically what I think is happening in terms of Bitcoin. Now, you do see Tommy Lee essentially coming out and making these price predictions for Bitcoin. Let's just have a listen into it.
So fearless. Where are you on Bitcoin by the end of next year, let's say?
Well, if the spot Bitcoin gets approved,
yeah,
I think the demand will be greater than the daily supply of Bitcoin. And so the clearing price, this is done by Sean Farrell, who's our crypto digital strategist, is over 150,000. It could even be like 180,000.
Well, I some sort of kind of agree with him in terms of Bitcoin ETF will be great for the whole crypto space, just like we had in terms of what happened with gold overall. However, I do disagree in terms of why does Bitcoin really need to reach 185,000 for you to make life-changing wealth, guys. With that being said, if you actually do plant your seeds properly for the next bull market, you can actually bring in, I could say millions of dollars if your seeds are planted correctly in the right altcoins, guys. Because altcoins, at the end of the day, they do run up more massively than Bitcoin, going up hundreds of X's. And I think the opportunity is actually presented to you, and you still do have a chance. I think this is still a long drawn battle. Nothing really has come of this because the ETF still hasn't been launched overall, right? Until that volume comes in, that volume of the ETF comes in, then you could say, okay, maybe that hype train is actually starting in terms of that. Until then, you still have the opportunity to plant your seeds, get in those altcoins. And one of those altcoins that I think that will do very well overall, guys, is the Zen ecosystem. With that being said, we're starting to see what's happening with Base. Overall, the rank continues to go up as more people to go on there and actually start continuing to mint. And it's good to see because, again, a lot of people have went on and minted, diversified, just like myself. I've diversified in a lot of these chains. However, we haven't seen the fruits of the labor, as they would say, in terms of this. So with that being said, you can see Zen continuing to basically consolidate in this particular region, just above the 700 area, above the all-time lows for Zen. I mean, in the future, we could look back and say, okay, maybe it would have been a great opportunity to get in and diversify, but so far we haven't seen that, guys. Everything has been going down just like Ethereum Zen has been going down. Until we start to see that big massive altcoin run that we usually seasonally see, year through year, I think it's too early to call whether or not it would have been a good play to get into a lot of these Zen and the other ecosystems like Moonbeam, Avalanche, Base, FMOS, or whatever the case may be. But so far, what we do know is the 12-hourly range delta indicator has particularly flashed in terms of meaning the conditions to actually take that particular trade. So far, it's indicating that we could basically see lower lows in terms of, Zen and putting it all-time lows overall. With that being said, let's just take a look at the stochastic overall. We're, again, putting in higher lows on the stochastic while price continues to essentially put in lower lows. If you go to the daily, again, same situation, pointing to the downside. We're still below the 50 percentile, the bearish control zone of this area. We really need to get above the 50 percentile for anything to be made of this. The 3-day, again, you're looking at still downside move, looking to curve curvature to the upside. Still not happening there. 5-day, really nothing to make out of it, as you're, are low in terms of the stochastic level. So, I mean, again, we're very low. Looking at this consolidation region, just, close to the all-time lows. Can something really be made out of this? Again, I wouldn't get too bullish until we actually start to break above the 12-hourly EMA, the 55 EMA on the 12-hourly. Then I could say to myself, okay, maybe there's something happening in terms of a big move occurring here. But until then, you can see the 55 EMA has played a heavy resistance role overall. And I wouldn't make much of it until we see something like that actually occur. Now, I do want to state that Babb, again, guys, will be having a live AMA, so you can actually go on there. Rush D will be on there as well, too. So if you have any questions in terms of the Babb ecosystem and what's going to be happening in terms of the regulated decentralized finance, I think it will be a very good space to go on there and just ask any questions in particular to it. And you never know, guys, Zen may be launching on there, so it would be nice to actually see that occur. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, bros, as always, stay profitable.